Blair with the Badass Records podcast, welcoming you in for another episode, and I am thrilled to share with you that this week's guest is Parker Mason. You can check out all of his musical endeavors on Instagram at Haikus for Emus, at car.microwave, and at We Are Landlion. Episodes of this podcast air Thursdays, more or less. You can find it where you stream and download your music and podcasts. It lives on the web, which is badassrecordspodcast.com. You can view it on YouTube, and the Instagram handle to keep tabs on all things Badass Records is at Badass Records Podcast. If you are listening at home, you cannot see that I am very proudly repping my Team USA hockey jersey, and a hearty, sincere congratulations to the men and the women for bringing home double gold medals from Milan. To the women's team, I've been watching since Vancouver. South Korea in 2018 was tremendous, and 2022 in Beijing was devastating. To the men, an incredible feat to break the drought. And all credit goes to the USA hockey program for growth of the game and determination to be champions. Absolutely fantastic. One of the happiest sports viewing moments in my life this past Sunday morning, watching that overtime goal go in off of Jack Hughes' stick. So just phenomenal. That's all I got for you. Go USA Hockey. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show. All goes the way that it's supposed to, this should be episode number 201 of Badass Records Podcast, and welcome Parker Mason.
Hey, thanks
nice
so
to
much
meet
for
you.
having me, Blair. It's great to be here.
Thanks for being here. You have a lot of cool stuff happening on your Instagram page. You've got at Haikus for Emus.
Mm-hmm.
At car.microwave, KC-based band that are proud haters of truck oven. What?
Yeah,
What's that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of lore there. So Car Microwave formed in 2022, and we kind of, weren't taking ourselves super seriously at the beginning, and we're pretty just, casual, like fun kind of people. And I forget where the joke started, but at some point along the way, someone made a joke that like our rival enemy band would be called Truck Oven, and it's real highbrow stuff. And so we sort of didn't mean for it to be like this long-standing joke or thing, but it just never died. It just never went away, and so we just sort of leaned into it after a while. We just, proud haters of Truck Oven. Our first record is called Photo Album, which is actually Photo is an acronym for Proud Hater of Truck Oven. I don't know if a lot of people actually have picked up on that, but
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what about Haikus for Emus?
Yeah, so that is sort of my secondary band that I started at the end of, I guess, 2024.
Okay.
And so in Car Microwave, I'm not the front person or the singer. The main singer, our friend Katie Board, is the singer of that band. And so, yeah, Haikus is sort of my project where I sort of take the front person role, and
That's
been
fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Do be the front person and not be it's got to be a good mix, I would think.
It ends up working out really well, and I get a little bit of both sides. I'm actually making the first Haikus record with Rod Fenton,
okay,
who I know you had on as a mutual friend.
Episode 193.
Shout out Rod Fenton.
Yeah, shouts out for sure.
And so, that should be out in late summer, and then we'll have a Car Microwave album out in late May. Yeah.
In like 3 months?
In 3 months. It's almost done.
Cool.
We're mixing 3 songs right now. Those should be done, and then we're recording the final track in a couple weeks.
Okay.
And then yeah, we'll be all done.
Good stuff. So Car Microwaves on YouTube and Spotify, and consists of who?
Yeah, so there's 5 of us in that band. There's so myself, Parker Mason. I play a few things. I wear a couple different hats, but it's usually lead guitar, sometimes rhythm guitar. I play a little bit of piano.
Okay.
And some backing vocals. And then our singer is Katie Bort.
Okay.
Our other guitar player is Caitlin Jacobs. And then Kirsten Creer is on bass. And then Riley Rexford is on drums. So
Very nice.
There's 5 of us. Yeah, we're a pretty tight-knit little unit.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Additionally, Landlion. We are Landlion on Instagram, KC-based indie rock collective led by Ben Wendt and backed by a supporting cast of musicians inspired by Bright Eyes, Arcade Fire, and Bruce Springsteen. Album on Spotify. Tell me about this collective.
What a beautiful gathering of humans. I love, so Ben Wendt, who I was talking to you a little bit about, and I don't know if you've reached out to him. He would be an incredible guest for this podcast.
I think we've messaged once. I need to pick back up. I don't know if I did email or a DM or what, but
yeah, I'll recommend this too, because I think you guys would have a great conversation. But yeah, that's really his brainchild, and he has assembled 10 of us in that group.
Oh my!
And yeah, he's just a wonderful human. I could give you the whole list. Like I said, there's 10 of us, but it's just like all of our friends, sort of in the Rhino circle, and I'm in that, and Kirsten, who's in Car Microwave, she's in that. Caitlin, who's in Car Microwave, she's also in that. So there's a lot of overlapping of members of things, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
They put out a record, I guess, late 2025 called Hymns for End Times.
Okay.
Which I was just really glad to be in the vicinity of that.
Yeah.
It's a great record.
What is the origin story for the name Car Microwave?
Yeah. This is okay. So I do get this question a lot for good reason. And the weird thing is that I'm usually fielding this question, but I did not have anything to do with the band name. What it was, so Caitlin, the other guitar player, and Katie, our singer, were friends in college. They've known each other a long time. And the story, as I am aware, goes that Caitlin, they would go on these like trips, like camping trips and stuff. And when they were going, she had a microwave in the back of her hatchback, and I guess like she'd be driving around, and it would like rattle around back there and make a bunch of noise, and people would go like, "What's that noise?" And she would go, "That's just the car microwave in the back." I think, Caitlin, if you're listening and I butchered that story, I apologize, but I think that's the genesis. And so they made a fake band in college called Car Microwave as a joke, as like a haha, like I played bass in Car Microwave, like one of those things, like indie band name #1 or whatever. And then when I met her through just a total happenstance thing, I don't know, just she told me that story, and then we sort of broached the topic of starting a band, and when everyone was on board, we're like, well, we got to call it Car Microwave, right? And we never looked back.
Nice.
And that's what we've always been. So.
Very cool. I love that. And then last but certainly not least, Joshua James in the First Aid Kit, which is at Joshua James Has a Band on Instagram. Joshua was here for episode 177. Mm-hmm. You're in that as well?
Yeah, so I actually just played my last show as an official member last weekend.
Oh.
And so yeah, I love Joshua. He is a dear friend, an alumni, as you said, of the podcast.
Yeah.
He had, high praise for you and what you're doing here. So shout out Joshua. And yeah, he is just, the ambition that he operates with, and the way he just lives his life, like just waking up every day and getting the most out of it. I really admire. Yeah, I played bass for him for about a year, and it was really fun.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah, he real good energy, which sometimes recommendations happen, but a lot of times I'm DMing strangers. And almost, for years now, anytime I open the door, I'm meeting that person for the first time.
Yeah.
But really good energy. And then I kind of started seeing, his feed, and that energy translates to the app as well. Like he always seems positive and having a good time, and so
you really like he if you have a notion of what he's like through his online presence, I really feel like you get that when you meet him. He's just full of life and a really great guy.
Bright Eyes, Arcade Fire, and Bruce Springsteen, a trio I never would have imagined anyone cobbling together.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the importance of those three artists.
Yeah,
which was Landline, right?
For Landline, yeah. I think when you go to a Landline show, it's just, well, one, I think Ben is an incredible songwriter. I really admire his ability to speak to hot button issues while still, I think, keeping a level of humanity and empathy, which he is just teaming with. I think those bands are just like, I mean, early Arcade Fire is unimpeachable. I think those first few records are some of the best, like, indie rock of that era. We share a love for Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
And we both saw Bruce when he was here in 2022, I think, or 2023. Just incredible. I think he is such a gift to music, and the way that he's like transcended generations. And I think as far as Landline, I think, Bruce Springsteen has this level of arrangement with like horns in the E Street Band that Ben has really tried to implement in Landline. And then, we'll talk more about Bright Eyes obviously later in the pod. But I think that influence is really clear in Ben's songwriting. I think he would agree with that. I don't want to speak for him, but it certainly is in mine, and I think we bond over that.
Cool. How long have you been a Bruce guy?
I really got into Bruce in high school.
Okay.
Bruce almost made the list. I think if I had to it's so hard to cut it down to 5 or less. But no,
guess who never has to do that.
It's kind of the perks of being the guy. It's like your show.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so it was high school, really. I got really into, I guess, Born to Run initially. That's kind of where everyone starts, I feel like. And then senior year, I remember I had a playlist, and I just was like obsessed with Bruce, and to a level I still am. I mean, of all those guys, like, I love like James Taylor and Jackson Browne and all those guys, but Bruce is like, I don't know. I think there's a reason he's still selling out arenas.
Man.
Like, have you seen him? Have you seen Bruce?
I have not.
I know he's getting up there, but if you did get the chance, I'd highly recommend. It's a great time. It's a great show.
Thoughts on the Streets of Minneapolis tune?
I loved it. I think, I don't know if you care to get political, but I think he met the moment in a way that he always has. If a lot of Bruce fans will remember, he had a song called Streets of Philadelphia from the movie Philadelphia in the 90s. Great talking song about the AIDS crisis, right? The response or lack thereof, especially in the backdrop of like the city of brotherly love, but then these marginalized groups, the LGBTQ community of that time, were being left out to dry, left to die with no help. I think he's met the moment in really tough times, and I am not surprised that he did it again. And I just think that is just speech to his character. And short answer, I loved it.
Nice.
I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I don't ever hit the record button on one of these with any kind of agenda for getting political.
Yeah.
I do think it's worth mentioning that there is a pretty loud and important message on your page. Fuck ICE. And I couldn't agree with that more. I have found myself often, to be honest, in recent times, if the phone, I mean, not if the phones are always listening to us, right?
Absolutely.
And there was a sort of a smattering of folks posting on TikTok a couple weeks ago, supposing that there was going to be some kind of change if you post about a certain topic or talk about that they were going to ban you or whatever. And then a few days after, I think it was a Sunday, honestly, I opened it and there was a message you couldn't circumnavigate, basically saying new terms of service, blah blah blah, and it's terrifying to think that if you are creating content or sharing content that others have created, that there could be consequences for that. Whether that's banning you or doing some kind of geo tracking. I mean, point being, kudos to Bruce for doing that. Kudos to you for having that on your page. And there are plenty of reasons to be concerned, on alert, cautionary, and none of them are to be taken lightly, in my opinion.
I think that's really important for more people to say that, and I really appreciate that perspective. I will always love the version of America that I think it could be and should be, even if I don't think it's quite there. And I say get political, but I don't believe that injustice is political.
Right.
And so, a lot of people may disagree, but yeah, I think what this administration, what ICE is doing is terrible. I think, the denigration of due process and the elimination of, like, I don't know, civil liberties for people of color or people who aren't, who immigrated here. I hope we can kind of get back on track.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's going to take, but
I don't either.
I appreciate your perspective on that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one other thing. I don't want to say lifelong, but pretty, decades long, big hockey fan.
Yeah.
I play once a week. I love the Blues. And I get really, really geeked out every 4 years for cheering men and women, Team USA in the Olympics, ice hockey. And every year, I mean, the women, like, they've won a recent gold. Canada's, of course, they're the nemesis. The men's team this year looks really strong, but as per usual, so does Canada. And I'm not wavering in my fandom at all. I still am, like, to my core,
Of course.
geeked out about it, but it's got a weird wrinkle on it.
Right.
If I had been, for whatever reason, gifted tickets to Milan, I don't know that I would rep, but I don't know that I would be doing the chant in the stands because
I feel that.
Oh, gosh.
It's a little messy anymore.
to say the least.
The implications are not necessarily what they used to be.
Yeah,
Say
no, not at
Yeah.
all. So haikus for emus, car microwave, landline, and what about you? Are you born and raised in the area?
No, so I was born in Jefferson City. So I've lived in Missouri my whole life. And then I grew up in a town just outside of there called Lynn, Missouri. There's a really prominent technical school there that's sort of taken over the identity of the town. But I grew up there. Then I went to college in Missouri State in Springfield. I met Kirsten there, who's my partner,
Nice.
and in the band. She's in Carmichael.
Okay.
And then we graduated in 2021 in the middle of COVID. And then, we knew we didn't want to stay there. And so we were like, well, where are we going to go? And we kind of wanted something new and unfamiliar. We didn't really know Kansas City that well, and we didn't really know anyone. We had a couple loose friends, but no one super close. So like, let's try it. And so we just like moved really fast.
Oh, wow.
Looking back, it's kind of crazy that we did that because I drove like a 26-foot U-Haul, like 2.5 hours from.
Big truck.
It's a big truck, man. I had never done that before. I was kind of fun. I got to like pretend I was like a truck driver or something like, but I've not done it since really. At least not one that big. And yeah, so we moved here in May of 21, and we've been here ever since. We love it. We love it here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have some half siblings. My older sister's is who I'm probably closest with, and she's living in south of Tacoma, Washington now.
Right on.
Yeah, she's moved around a little bit, but
any idea how mom and dad initially connected?
Yeah, so my mom, she had kind of a interesting story. She moved around a lot. She passed away a couple years ago, and her life story I think had some adversity, but she was a really resilient person. And so she had my sister with her first husband, and when they separated, she was from New York State, and then she moved down to West Virginia for a little bit. That's where she met her first husband. He was from Jefferson City, Missouri.
Oh, wow.
So that's how she ends up in Jefferson City.
Okay.
They separate. She stays in Jeff City, and then she was, I think, sort of enjoying being single, and met my dad, I think, in the course of that. And they weren't together super long, but long enough to have me, and here I am.
Okay. Yeah. So are you raised in multiple households? Are you in just one, or?
I was really lucky. I had a really steady and just very stable upbringing. I would see my dad sometimes. He's a whole thing, and we could get into that. Sure. I think a lot of men can like relate to complicated relationships with their fathers, but when I was younger, it would be like every other weekend kind of vibe, and then mostly I grew up in Lynn, in this my childhood home that is still there, right? My stepdad, I guess, owns it now, but that's I was lucky in that regard.
Right on.
Yeah.
So in the homes that you're being raised in, are parents, adults putting on music to listen to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mom loved music, and my earliest memories were of like she loved to travel, and we would go to like New York to visit my like grandmother and my uncles. Like all her family stayed up there; they never left. And so I have really early memories of she would make these like mixed CDs on the family computer, and we would listen to them.
Nice.
And like I'm trying to remember songs like she loved Jewel, so we would listen to like You Were Meant for Me and Who Will Save Your Soul, like those Jewel songs.
Yeah.
I remember she really liked just random stuff like she would put on what else was there was that song Hero from the Spider-Man movie by Chad Kroeger. And Josie Scott, I think. Songs like that. And like I have early memories of like when I was a kid, but she also loved like she was a child of the 80s and the 90s, so she loved like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and a lot of those 80s hair metal bands. And so I got a lot of that. And then I when she met my stepdad, he liked a lot of really cool music, and then that's when he showed me like the Beatles and stuff, and that was kind of off to the races for me.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you get all this stuff from them, and then, of course, you were kind enough to share a list with me ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So here's the stuff that mom's into, and then stepdad has shown you the Beatles, and it's off to the races for you.
Yeah.
Is there an album that stands out that's not from your list, not stuff they were listening to, but sort of out of the gate in those races that stands out that, I don't know, you first downloaded on your own or bought with your own money or borrowed from a friend?
Yeah, so we'll talk about the Beatles. That was big. I have an early memory of here's something. So the first CD I ever bought was I was born in '98, and so you can kind of know when I was growing up, the Hannah Montana.
Oh my.
I was really into that show, and I remember I think the first CD I ever got with my own money was. This was like right before, again, I was just started to discover all this like classic rock and stuff. It was Hannah Montana 2. It was the second Hannah Montana album / Meet Miley Cyrus. It was a double album.
Oh.
And she was trying to like establish her own identity.
I didn't know she had a release where both names were.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was, it's pretty good. A lot of it kind of holds up. I got to be honest.
Okay.
I've went back in years since, but people get a kick when I tell them, like people who know me, I tell them that my first album was Hannah Montana 2 / Meet Miley Cyrus, and they get a kick out of that. And I think the second thing I got was like Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon or something.
Okay.
And that was, big. And then like the Beatles one, that was like maybe the second or third CD I ever got with all their like number one hits on it.
That has made a list.
Yeah.
On this podcast.
The one
Yeah.
album, it's
and I was like, what is this? And it took me a minute to find it.
Yeah.
Digitally, and then I was like, holy, it's literally all number one hits.
It's a great album.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't always gravitate towards greatest hits
right.
or compilations like that, but that's a damn good one.
For sure.
Yeah.
Early or first live music memories, first concert, anything stand out?
So this is a good tie-in as well. And I can get more into it when we get to it, but I grew up in a rural community, like I was telling you, and so live music wasn't super accessible. Really, the closest thing place we could go to see cool bands was like Columbia.
Yeah,
it was about an hour from where I grew up, and so obviously growing up, I would have people drive me. So I didn't really start going to shows, or at least like big shows, until I think it was in 2013. I think I was a freshman in high school. And Neutral Milk Hotel did their reunion tour.
Stop.
I was in the exact right. I was just a really online kid, and I just was obsessed with this album. And I was like, they'll never tour again. And literally, like several months later,
Goosebumps.
They announced this reunion tour, and I begged my mom. I'm like, I don't care what I have to do. Please, can you, like, while I'm at school, can you stay home and get these tickets for me? And like you can cut, like we'll all go. Like I think I was 14, so she couldn't drive me, or I couldn't drive. She had to drive me, and she was like, okay. She knew it meant a lot to me, and that I was really serious about it. And I was like, it's gonna sell out really fast. Like this is a big deal. Like you know. And she's like, okay, all right. She kind of understood, and she got them. So she got tickets for me and her and my stepdad, and it sold out like in 24 hours. It sold out really fast.
What venue?
Is at the Blue Note in Columbia. That was my.
You saw Neutral Milk Hotel at the Blue Note?
Blue Note,
dude.
That was my first concert.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's kind of a flex. I don't mean to flex on people.
A deserved flex.
It was cool.
You didn't care, like, if she would have gone and gotten tickets for you and some buddies and taken you, or if she got tickets for you and the two of them to go. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter. And I didn't know anyone who I was just such a weird. I felt like no one else was listening to that music that I knew. No one really liked music like that in my high school, at least what I was listening to. And so, yeah, I think if I had friends, I would have wanted someone to go. But yeah.
Was it a good show?
It was incredible.
Did they enjoy it as well?
They didn't really know what to expect, but they loved it.
Oh, cool.
And I told this story at my mom's service, but it was really funny because I wanted to be like front and center, I wanted to be like in it. And so we get there, and I go into the GA standing, portion, and they're like, oh, I think we're gonna go sit up top. And I said, cool, that's great. I'll be down here. I'll see you guys later. Okay. And so at some point my phone dies. I'm rocking a flip phone. It's like first cell phone kind of vibe. Again, I'm 14 in 2013. Yeah, it was 13. I was about to turn 15, and my phone dies, and it was all like these really like kind of cool, edgy college kids in the crowd, naturally, and Mizzou's right there and everything, and I'm trying to like act all cool, and maybe I look a little bit older than I actually am, and so we're like, we're chilling or whatever, and there's some sort of like precocious, 20-something-year-old, and at one point, I remember distinctly there was this girl who tapped me on the shoulder and was like, hey, is that your mom up in the balcony?
Stop.
And I look up and she's like bending over and she's like trying to yell down at me. What had happened is they were on one side when we got there, and I guess someone had that table reserved or something. So they moved to the other side, and my mom wanted to let me know where she was, and so my phone was dead, so she couldn't text me. So she yelled down at me and totally blew my cover with these
Damn.
cool.
I mean, good. That's a good, solid mom move. But also,
I was like,
Mom,
could you be cool? Like, be cool. Like, come on. We laughed about it for a long time after that. But
that is too funny.
she was fun.
Wow. A couple college buddies. We've had some writing projects over the years, and one time we were doing some top albums, and my buddy, who has always had, thankfully, like wildly different tastes from me. For a lot of years it was, a little turn up the nose, snooty, but eventually I became thankful because he turned me on to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But he put that album on a list once, and I was like, what in the world is this? And then I put it on, and I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever heard anything quite like this. And so,
Yeah.
anyway, we'll talk about that. So lead guitar, a little bit of rhythm guitar, a little bit of piano.
Yeah.
Did you say something else too?
That's mostly it.
Okay.
I'll do a little bit of backing vocals.
Right.
In Car Microwave. Yeah.
So where and when does your trajectory as a musician begin?
Yeah, I've thought about this. I think it really goes back to when I find the Beatles, and that kind of, changes my world in some ways. And so I just became infatuated with this idea, I think, of songwriting, the fact that you could make something out of nothing. Like, to me, it felt like a superpower. And it's like, well, you can, like, I could watch, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and obviously this is like, they're the greatest to ever do it. But I was like, they just made this stuff up, and it's amazing. It's blowing my mind. And so I think I just was like, well, I want to do that, or I want to play guitar. And my stepdad had moved in with us at this point, and he had a couple guitars laying around.
Acoustic?
Yeah, it was mostly acoustic for me.
Okay.
He had an electric one that was kind of shitty. Like, it wasn't great, but I played a little bit. And but really, it was acoustic guitar is what I picked up, and I just never put it back down.
That's the first instrument you really enmeshed yourself with.
Yeah, I played trombone
Oh.
in my high school band.
Okay.
I never quite found the love for that I did for guitar, but I enjoyed it. It did a lot of really good things for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this on here before, but there was a time where Trey Anastasio from Fish, who's my first love, would cruise around on his Trey Anastasio band tour with his phone, and just in video record mode, and roll up on, person that goes up in the rafters to mount speakers and lights, or the people in the trucks that are running all the computer. And he would just roll up and be like, what are you doing? And just sort of give them the floor to explain what it is that they do.
Yeah.
And in one of those, I might be getting this wrong, but I think it's Natalie Cressman, the trombonist in that band. And she's in a chair practicing. And he's, so what do you do? And she goes on this explanation of, there's a finite number of notes, based on where the thing is extended or collapsed, and then a finite number of ways in which to position your mouth. And so, multiply those two things together, and you have the ultimate finite number of things you can do. And I was like, what? That is like super cool.
Super cool.
Never would have known. But I've always, probably going back to, cartoons, an appreciation for the uniqueness that is the trombone. So I bet it was helpful.
It was in a lot of ways, yeah. And you really work up just sort of that precision, because you're kind of relying on muscle memory to get the notes right. It is nice because you can, like, if you overshoot it, you can, like, just kind of use it. It trains your ear for
Yeah,
sure, because
yeah.
you have to really listen to make sure you're playing it right.
So piano comes in where?
Yeah, I remember I've played piano off and on throughout my life. I've lacked the consistency with it that it has come so naturally with guitar playing. But I remember one summer, I didn't have a lot of friends at this portion of my life. I was probably in late elementary school, early middle school. And so summers, I'm kind of chilling. I'm not really doing a whole lot in my little town. And so I was like, again, a lot of this goes back to just things my stepdad had, but he, he had this little keyboard that was like, he had gotten maybe like a decade before, and it was sort of outdated, but it worked, and like the keys lit up and stuff. And I was just like, I just want to learn piano. Like, I just want to figure out what's going on there. And so I found this guy on YouTube, and I need to find him again because I owe him a lot. And he had this free series where he just teach yourself piano, and he had some theory in there, and like I learned about like circle of fifths and like keys and things. And
Circle of fifths?
circle of fifths, yeah. Like, it's a pretty sort of foundational concept in music theory about like what keys have like how many flats or sharps in them, and then what like minor key. You can get pretty in the weeds with it.
Sure.
So I learned about that
Yeah.
and everything, and that was probably I was probably 12 or 13, and throughout my life I've sort of come back to it, but it wasn't until very recently. It was really when Car Microwave started, and we had been a band a couple of years. We had the idea to introduce piano, and I can play enough that I was like, well, let me, like, maybe I can figure some stuff out. And so we recorded this song that Katie, our singer, wrote called Jack Kerouac,
Ooh.
which is out, and it's a shameless plug. You can
Cool.
listen to it. And I wrote a piano part for that. And so we've just sort of been incorporating piano off and on since.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do you have something at home?
I do. We got a Chord D1, which is a really nice unit.
Spell that for me, please.
Yeah, Chord, Korg.
Okay, I thought that's what you said.
And
Yeah.
D1 is the model.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's a nice instrument.
Is it heavy?
It's heavy. That's the only thing. And the power chord doesn't work. So sometimes, like, dude. Okay, here's the story. So Joshua had this big show at Hillsiders in December, and it was pretty packed out. And he wanted to cover "Fix You" by Coldplay.
Okay.
And so he asked if he could borrow this piano, and I said, okay, yeah, that's fine. And because there was like one guy was gonna play the organ part, and one guy was gonna play the piano part, and so I let him borrow it. Now the thing with this piano is that the power chord, like,
It's
janky. It's
Yeah.
janky. So to make sure it stays on and doesn't shut off on you while you're playing, well, we've like rigged it so if you put a toothpick in the power socket, it should like secure it, fasten it enough that it won't turn off. Okay. So I tell everybody this at the show. I'm like, all right, keep the toothpick in there. We should be fine. We're about to go to play Fix You, the big finish of the set. Again, it's like a packed out Hillsiders show. And I look over at the piano, and the toothpick's not in there. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not good, because like we need this piano or else this song isn't going to work. And I'm looking everywhere, and I'm like, we can't find it. It fell out somewhere, and but it's staying on. So I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna be like mid song. It's gonna turn off because it's gonna get like jostled around. We make it through the whole song, and it's a miracle. I'm like, I can't believe that happened, knowing this piano and its problems. And I find out later that the toothpick had snapped off, and so there was a little bit of toothpick still lodged in there that I couldn't see at the time. And I'm like, okay, well, it all worked out, but it was pretty dicey there for a minute.
I mean, you need to throw a little box of toothpicks in the bag of your travel bag.
And I've tried to. I don't know why I didn't. I'm like, or it was so packed. It was such a small place. I think I had the box of toothpicks, but I couldn't go over to get them because there's like too many people, and it was like buried in the back of like where all the gear was, and absolutely poor planning on my part. I should have had it on stage, like
Right.
on the ready, but
I still have not made it to Hillsiders. I want to go,
It's cool.
just be a patron there. But is it fun to play gigs there?
Yeah, we've played there once, I guess.
Okay.
Oh, I've played there a couple. I obviously played there with Joshua, and then Carmichael has played there once. I've enjoyed it. We have another show there for March 23rd, I think is what it is. It's with this band, Kiss the Tiger from Minneapolis.
Okay.
Excited to meet them. I like their music a lot. Yeah, it's fun. It's a small like divey kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And it's in a cool area, like kind of that, like Strawberry Hill, like
Yep.
KCK kind of area, and it's fun. I would encourage. Yeah, if you have some time, make it
For
out
sure.
there. It's a vibe.
So the one thing that I can't wrap my head around is one dude's going to play the organ piece and one dude's going to play the piano piece on this Korg. Are there two levels of keys on this unit?
So this is a good question. So thankfully, so our buddy, also from Minneapolis, Zach Baker, we got linked up with him along the way. He was in town and he plays piano, so we had two pianos separately.
Oh, okay.
Or thankfully, and so one, yeah. So I think he was playing the piano part on his keyboard, and then our buddy Tyler was playing the organ part on our piano.
Okay.
With the toothpick
Yeah.
of it all.
Yeah.
So
So this requires a stand, or does it have?
yeah, so we have a stand, and it's sort of cheap Guitar Center $50 stand, but
Yeah,
it works. It's
there
a
you
little
go.
wobbly and sometimes, but
yeah. I
I
got one. I bought a Yamaha in college and was taking some piano lessons, and it's got. If it were to be brought back fully to life, it would need some money and some TLC from
right.
dudes at Guitar Center told me, but it's got a stand that
Yeah.
if you don't know, it could slide off. I mean, there's a way to position it on the stand to make sure that it's solid, but you gotta, you don't want to get wild. with it.
Right. You got to be pretty cautious.
Well, thanks again, man, for sharing your list with me.
Yeah.
If it's okay with you, I usually just roll through them in release order.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we started in 1969 with Abbey Road, the
Yeah.
Beatles, 12 of 13, 17 tracks, 47 minutes, Fab 4 out of Liverpool. This one's made a few lists. And Stepdad, I'm guessing, I think you said, is who got you off to the races by turning you on to the Beatles. Tell me what you want to tell me about that discovery, the Beatles themselves, and Abbey Road.
Man, gladly. Yeah. So to set the scene, the year is probably 2008, maybe 2007, late 2007, and I'm 9 or 10, and I was really online, really young, maybe too young to be honest. But I was a computer kid, and so I remember my mom and my stepdad had some friends over, and they were playing I think like cards or something in our little back room where our computer was, and they were having me pull up songs on YouTube, right? Early days of YouTube, and
Probably with fewer ads than now.
a lot less ads, maybe no ads
Right,
actually. If I
right.
think about it, this was kind of a golden era.
Yeah.
I wish we could go back. And at one point, my stepdad tells me to pull up "Hey Jude" by the Beatles. You might know, right? There's this sort of famous, I think it's like a TV performance where they're on TV and they're on the set, and then like all these people are surrounding them for the na-na-nas at the end.
Yeah.
And that's what I pulled up. And there's that first kind of iconic shot of Paul McCartney where he starts the song and it's like really close up on his face and he's looking at the camera with his just those beautiful eyes, and
Giving me goosebumps twice already.
yeah, man. I saw that, and I don't think it was like a record scratch, like, I was like, oh, this is going to change my life, but I was so intrigued by it, and I was like, oh, who are these guys? Like I had never, like I liked music, and I liked when my mom had music on, but I never felt a draw like that before. And I remember my stepdad came over to the computer, and he was kind of telling me what their names were, and I remember he pointed to John Lennon, and he said, oh, he's the cool one, and I was a big John Lennon. He was my favorite Beatle for a long time. I would not say he's my favorite Beatle now, but I still love John and what he did. But As far as Abbey Road, I think it is probably the greatest album of all time, in my opinion. I think if it is not the greatest album of all time, I think it is the measuring stick by which every other greatest album contender is measured by. And I say that because I think the production for when it came out is impeccable. I think there's not a bad song on it, and I include the side 2 medley in that.
The little 4-track run of like 1-minute songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there was so much thought into the assembly and the construction of this album. I think, my favorite Beatle now is George, and I think George has the best songs on this album. I think 2 of the best songs the Beatles ever did. I think every album, especially in like pop, rock, or adjacent genres, I think this is the blueprint. And with respect to Sgt. Pepper, with respect to Revolver and Rubber Soul, and also other, like Pet Sounds and Purple Rain. I love all those records. I don't know that I'm here sitting next to, like, with you and making music and doing all these things if it's not for the Beatles. Like that was how formative it was. And I think this was the best thing they ever did.
Nice.
Yeah, I adore this record.
I have always, I've said this a million times on here, but I kind of went from oldies as a real young kid to classic rock and stayed there too long. And I listened to it for so long that like there are songs that I really can't listen to anymore because I've heard them so many. They're great on me. But there are also songs from different genres and rock included that I will never tire of. Yeah. And Hey Jude is for sure one of those. I think it's phenomenal and beautiful. And I remember completely losing my mind when I saw that video and being like, you guys are crowding the hole. You're going to fuck something up. And also, and then he's like, they're cool with it. They tolerate it.
Yeah.
To a level that's like, wow, other people could have and maybe would have freaked out.
Yeah. I've always thought just the visual element of that performance was so striking. They have so many of those moments. I mean, like, like whether it's like Ed Sullivan, like or the rooftop performance, or like that I wish I knew what the name of that show was that they did that on, or the nature of that performance was, but like all the people right in there. They also did that for like the All You Need Is Love recording. If you look at that video, it's like I think it's like all their friends, like Mick Jagger is there and like all these people. And
what a crazy introductory cacophony of horns to kick that song off.
Dude, I think a lot of that's George Martin. I mean, you want to talk about production. I think setting the stage for like how do you produce bands like this? Like, dude was a genius. I don't think you get like Abbey Road and all their best stuff without him, for sure.
You ran down this short list of amazing records of theirs and a few other artists. Strangely absent was the White Album.
Yeah, I love the White Album. I think this could be a hot take. I think the White Album has some of their best songs. I think like Blackbird is an all-time classic. While My Guitar, again, another George classic, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. You cannot take anything away from that song. I even love weirder songs like Martha, My Dear.
Okay.
I've been listening to a lot recently. Maybe I just have been into piano recently, and that piano part is crazy. Paul McCartney, again, is, I think, an actual genius. But I don't find myself going back to like White Album front to back. I think it's kind of long.
It's an investment.
I think there's some.
Sgt. Pepper's isn't short.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I don't know. Like the White Album just feels so bloated. Like there's like Revolution 9, and I don't know. I love the White Album. There's nothing to take away from it, but they didn't. I don't think they ever made a bad album. I think they are incredible.
There's a pocket of conspiracy theorists out there that think Paul was killed 1,000 years ago, and it's been a different dude this whole time.
Yeah.
Like the one that we know and love is still the one that we know and love, but it wasn't always that dude. Is there any merit to that?
Who can say?
Right?
Who can say? Maybe.
You don't
maybe.
have an opinion either way?
I think I like to be entrenched in like the mystery of it. You know, if Sir Paul is not the Paul of, I think 1966 is when they're saying that the switch happened. I think he's dude has made some incredible music with Wings and solo.
Silly Love Songs is on that list. I can never tire.
It's a perfect song.
Boom, 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 boom. And the horn, I mean, everything about it is fantastic.
This song is a great example of why I don't think Paul gets his flowers for how good of a bass player he is and how good of a composer for bass guitar that he is. The Silly Love Songs bass line, I think, is it blows my mind. It's incredible.
Got all that high energy stuff, but then you get into the boom, 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 boom. I mean, it's fantastic.
I think it makes the song. I think that song's perfect, but like that's like the sauce, is that bass.
Yeah. So, how from Paul to George? What happened?
Yeah, I think I've loved them all at different points in my life. Like when I was a little angsty, I really liked John, and I do think Paul McCartney is probably our greatest living songwriter, certainly one of them. I think my draw towards George was just his demeanor. I think the way that he wrote songs was so thoughtful and introspective, which is a quality that I admire, and I think in some ways I've tried to emulate. He also was a great songwriter while also being a really compelling lead guitar player, which is something that I think since Car Microwave has started has been something I have tried to pursue and follow. And I've just always admired how he could kind of like do multiple things, and not kind of showboat.
Sure.
Like maybe John and Paul were.
Yeah. My boy, plays year-round basketball and is on a couple different teams, and so none of the venues are ever close. Mm-hmm. Like in fact, this weekend has been on the calendar as sort of an eyesore for some time because there's no games. He has a bye from one team, and the other team's not in any tournaments. Sure. First thing this morning, his club coach reached out and was like, "So such and such needs subs for a 1, a 5, and a 6, all in Eudora." Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, I threw it out there. He didn't take it, but whatever. Point being, there's many practices and many games every week, and almost always we're listening to something.
Yeah.
And a lot of times his mom, was in the car with us, and it's no sense in taking 2 vehicles for a 30-minute drive. And for whatever reason, last Saturday we had to go Olathe South, and then leave at halftime to get to St. Thomas More, and then go back to Olathe South. And at some point I put on Traveling Wilburys Volume 1.
Wow, nice.
And she was like, "Tell me again." And I was like, "It's Roy Orbison, who was around long enough for the recordings of the first volume, Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, Jeff Lynne from ELO, and George Harrison." And then, almost immediately, not within 36 hours, TikTok fed me this super cool bluegrass cover of It's All Right. Well, it's all right. And the traditional bluegrass setup is like 5-ish folks and one mic. Mm-hmm. And so you're all kind of equal, and then everybody takes a moment to lean in for your lick or your it's so good.
Dude, please send it. I mean, Traveling Wilburys, I think, is the greatest supergroup of all time. It's so tough that we've lost so many of them already. Just Bob and Jeff Lynne, I think, are the only 2 that are still around.
Yeah. You're right.
But I love bluegrass. It's a genre that I love, but I end up not. I don't know a lot of it. Please do send that. I would love to listen to that.
Man, I mean, I don't care if it's Wilburys or Solo Roy, that voice comes on, and I mean, it's like spiritual. Like, there's
Yeah.
something so just comforting and velvety about the sound of that man's voice that I don't think will ever be replicated.
That was so sad, man. I mean, and he really was like embarking on this like comeback with I think he put out like that You Got It
Yeah.
song was like a big hit for him in the 80s.
Love those backing vocals. Do, do, do,
Yeah.
do.
And
Oh.
he was really all set for this like career resurgence.
I mean, he was
when
on.
he passed away.
He was
you know?
on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Like not, right around this comeback sort of thing. Man, I trip out often about like what's actually a memory and what's remembering a memory, and
Right.
what have I thought all along has been a memory, but I just know from pictures and stories.
I do this too. Yeah.
So the Monday Night Football broadcast with Howard Cosell, when news of John's death circulates
Yeah.
ages before the internet and smartphones and blah blah blah, devastated.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
I did. There's a video of John Lennon's song "God," which is off the Plastic Ono Band album, on YouTube, and someone edited this broadcast.
Oh wow!
Before the song starts on the video. This is my context for it. That's I've heard this, though that's sort of my frame of reference. Incredible. I mean, well, incredible. It's the way that information was just disseminated back then, but then also to be watching a football game and then you find out that this like, what you might as well have said Mickey Mouse got shot, or someone just larger than life guy. Like, I can't imagine finding out in that way. I'm a big football guy too, so that would be pretty jarring to find out news like that on like a Chiefs game or something.
Yeah, and like. This is Howard Cosell. He was
striking voice.
all about the This is the business of calling this game, and football and broadcasting is like not to be messed with.
Yeah.
And for him, I mean, they like paused thing anyway. And last little detail, Elton John's "Empty Garden." You know this tune?
I do. That is and I love Elton John. He's an incredible, songwriter with Bernie Taupin. I listened to that song a lot growing up, actually.
Same.
My mom loved Elton John, and so I knew Elton John already, and then, yeah, I know him and John were close, and to lose a friend like that, much less someone who's world famous, who just, and like, it just shouldn't have happened.
I know.
It's just like once in a while, it's like you feel like you're in the wrong timeline. Like you veer off, and the thing that like wasn't supposed to happen did happen, and that happened when John Lennon died. It just was senseless, and it didn't need to happen. It shouldn't have happened. I feel the same way about Mac Miller. By the way, we'll talk about Mac Miller later. Yeah, Who knows what the world would look like if John wasn't killed in that in 1980.
There was, perpetually a profound sense of joy as a young person, especially, right around 1980, being in my mom's car, always oldies, always like I knew, I say this often, the whole oldies catalog. I knew all the lyrics as a young person. And we loved that song. And like one of the first or second times that it came on, like she's basically bawling, driving. And I'm like, I don't, this is joy. Like what? And she explained what the song was about. And I was like, okay, I don't get it. A, why is it so sad? B, what do you mean somebody shot? Like, or is that a thing that's happening out there in the world? Little did I know that we'd be sitting here in 2026, but
You're right.
Nevertheless, so roughly 20 years, 30 years later, 1998, right around there.
Yeah.
In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, Neutral Milk Hotel. Second
talk
of
about
two, 11 tracks, 39 minutes. Indie rock out of Ruston, Louisiana. Epic album. It's made at least one list. Episode number 75 with Danny Phillips, a.k.a. Dr. 47. We touched on the show and you being a computer / online. What was the actual moment, though, that this gets dumped into your world?
Yeah. My memory of being exposed to this was there is a music critic online that some people, I think a lot of people know, Anthony Fantano is his name, and he runs this YouTube channel called The Needle Drop.
Oh,
and it's one of the I would say it's the biggest like music critique channel on the platform. He's been at it a long time. He's been at it like 15 years, and so it's probably 2012 or thereabouts, and he does this classic week every year where he'll take a break from reviewing new albums and he'll go back and review classic albums, about like 5 or 6 of them. And I remember I was just started watching him around this time again, just trying to absorb as much music and culture as I could. And this album is sort of enjoyed or not enjoyed, sort of a meme status over the last few decades.
really?
I think the very vulnerable nature of it, the very iconic album cover, people on like 4chan and Reddit and things like just made jokes about it. And so I remember he made a video and was like, do I review it? Like, are people going to meme me? And he's like, and then I saw that video and I was intrigued by it. And then he did end up, not giving into the trolls and he reviews the album. And so I was like, okay, yeah, let's check it out.
When he reviews, is he playing them?
No, so I think in the start he did, and I think YouTube got really strict with their copyright.
Precisely
stuff.
why I asked.
And so in the very early days, he did play snippets and songs, and then he had to stop. And then I think he even took down a lot of those videos where he had like the music playing.
They probably told him to.
Yeah, I was like, or get your channel demonetized or whatever. And so that was my start, and then I just became obsessed with it. This was really like middle school for me, was just being blown away by this album.
Who are some of your favorites when you first come across it? Other artists.
Yeah, so I'm really into Bright Eyes at this time.
Okay.
I'm really into Elliott Smith at this time. I'm still listening to the Beatles, still in love with the Beatles. So, this is a few years later, but really into just indie rock. A little bit of Modest Mouse, good amount of Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh wow.
Which is an honorable mention. Didn't quite make the list, but I love Death Cab. That's kind of the backdrop, right?
Okay.
So I was sort of primed and ready for an album like this. I was already listening to a lot of its cousins and descendants and albums that were inspired by it. And it just, I think being a vulnerable, like, emotional, teenager, I think it just resonated with me in a way that I didn't really understand what it was about, but I knew the story of like how it was written and sort of a lot of times music, you might not know explicitly what it's about, but you can still feel what it's about. And I think this album is a perfect example of that.
I fucking love this album so much.
I could do a whole podcast. It would be fun to do a podcast where you just listen to this album and like go track by track and like, oh my God. I did a talent show in high school and it was kind of cringe and not really very good, but we covered Two-Headed Boy.
Oh, wow.
I played guitar and my friend James sang, and I think he like forgot the words, and I might have forgot some. It was not great.
How did he do tone and pitch wise singing it?
He had a little bit of singing experience. He was like in theater and stuff, and he did all right.
Nice.
Yeah. Jeff Mandrum holds the notes out for so long.
It's so good.
You have that like the lung capacity of like a swimmer or something.
I hear you on Cousins and Descendants and Setup and so on and so forth. But I also, if I had a vinyl collection, and I had all the genres represented, you couldn't tell me.
Yeah.
that I don't have them all represented, and I gave this record to somebody and said, put it where it goes, I would probably have a problem with wherever they put it.
Yeah.
Because I think it should just be
Kind of its own-
on its own.
it's such a singular piece of work and art, and there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, like I think such disparate influences, and that's part of the genius of it.
Yeah.
It's like the inexplicable magic of this album.
I am struggling to come up with his name right now, and I keep wanting to say Elliott Smith, and that's 1,000% not it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a dude, and he's come up on this podcast, that put out some music, put out a record or two, and sort of pitched himself as like, I can be a one-man Beatles.
Okay.
And do it all. And the record label was like, oh my God, yeah. And
Yeah.
then signed him to some deal he could never possibly have. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Is this someone like right now?
No.
This is
God bless America. If I look,
I feel like I would know who you're talking about. I'm trying to think of who it might be.
so I know Brad Smith from Eggs on Mars had him. Let's see if I can find it.
I always hate my brain when it doesn't pull up the thing I need.
Well, and it's like I try and find somebody's episode, and it's like I Google the name of the podcast and the guest's name, and it doesn't pull up, and I'm like, is this because I don't pay for SEO or whatever? I'm gonna be so annoyed when I later think of it.
If possible, maybe you could edit in a little note to the listener.
Yeah.
Like, if you're wondering,
For
this
sure,
was who it
for
was.
sure. In fact, so Rod
Yeah.
is friends with Brad,
Mm-hmm.
and they do stuff together.
Yeah.
And it came up in Rod's episode, and because I was trying to remember who brought this guy up,
Right.
and I was telling Rod, and he goes, "Wasn't it Brad?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it totally is." Anyway, we'll look afterwards. Speaking of recent happenings, 2005. I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
It's morning. Bright Eyes. 5th of 10. 10 tracks, 45 minutes. Indie folk rock out of Omaha. This one's made a couple of lists and just appeared 2 episodes ago on Ryan Johnson's episode from Foxland, episode 199. They've already come up a couple of times, but there's clearly some wide circulating love for Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
Tell me about your love for them.
It's so funny. I mentioned to you earlier. I was with Ryan last night. We played a show together, and I was talking to him. And I hadn't had a chance to listen to his episode yet, but I saw the albums he picked, and I saw that he picked this one, and I was like, yeah, I think I picked that one too. And we were talking about how like it's an obvious pick, I think, for a certain type of person, but like for good reason, and he was like, do I go with it? Like it just seems obvious, but he's like, I have to go with it because it's just so influential and so seminal. Yeah, so I am really into the Beatles still. This is probably again 2010, maybe early 2011, and so the Beatles are still rocking my world. And I remember I went to go see Toy Story 3 with my mom, and I cried, and it was a good memory just because I grew up with the Toy Story movies.
Which one? What happens in 3?
So 3 was originally meant to be like the concluding. They've obviously since made more, but it was basically where Andy grows up and he gives his toys away. And then I'm also growing up, and I'm like, well,
Make me cry.
and I'm not a kid anymore. And I remember I was with my mom, and I'm just bawling in the car after Toy Story 3. And she's like, yeah, and it's okay. Like, she didn't really know what to do. Like, she wasn't great with like emotions. She didn't really know what to do. But she's like, well, let's just go like walk around the mall for a little bit, because it was in Jefferson City. The mall's right by the movie theater. And I remember we went to a Hot Topic, and I saw this shirt with John Lennon on it.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And I asked her to get it for me, or I used my allowance or something, and I got it. And it was had like a green picture of John Lennon when his like he had a beard and long hair, and it said "Give Peace a Chance."
Oh,
I always remember the shirt. Anyway, I go up to the counter at Hot Topic, and I think I'm wearing a Pink Floyd shirt. I'm also into Pink Floyd at this time, and so I go up to the cashier, and he's probably again young 20-something-year-old guy, and he's like, "Oh, cool John Lennon shirt, man." And I was like, "Thanks, man." He's like, "Oh, cool Pink Floyd shirt." Uh, I don't know why he took it upon himself, but he's like, you should check out Bright Eyes if you like the Beatles and Pink Floyd, like check out Bright Eyes." And I said, I easily, I'm young enough, I could have just disregarded that and not remembered to check it out. But I was like, oh, okay, maybe, yeah, I'll go check it. I'll check that out. Sure. So I go back to the home computer where I discovered so much music, and I go to YouTube and I just type in Bright Eyes. And I think the first song that came up was this song called Lover I Don't Have to Love, which in the current day is not one of my favorite Bright Eyes songs. But I was like, okay, that's interesting. Let's look up another one. And I think I might have looked up like First Day of My Life, which is off this record. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Okay. And it was like just enough that I was like, let's keep digging, right? And so this is probably my favorite record of all time. This record is like why I write songs, is what, if the Beatles is what made me want to pick up a guitar and make music, this is what made me want to write songs.
Cool.
I think the songs there's not a single song on here that I don't think is like a 10 out of 10 song. And there was also this element of Conor Oberst, who is the frontman and songwriter, was from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yep.
And I was like, the Beatles, I loved them, but they felt so just larger than life, like so untouchable, that I was like, well, I'll never do that. Like that's they're like superheroes. They're like, cartoon characters. But this felt so like just grounded and so like attainable. And I was like, well, if he can do that in Omaha, Nebraska, then surely I can do that in Missouri somewhere, in Kansas City or whatever. That is what it ended up being later. But yeah, I owe a lot. I'm very hesitant to say that like a certain piece of music changed my life. I think this album changed the course of my life through the years and the different pathways. I love it. I'm gonna go see it. They're touring. They're doing 3 shows where they play this album in full along with Digital Ash and A Digital Urn, which was another album they did that came out on the same day.
Really?
They're doing both of them back to back.
Wow.
We're going to Red Rocks and we're gonna go see it. Yeah.
When?
It's in May.
Okay.
It's like May 7th or something.
Have you seen a show at Red Rocks before?
So I haven't. I've actually. So it worked out really well because we're gonna go see Jason Isbell, who I love, on May 2nd with our bandmates Katie and Caitlin, and we had already planned that, and so we were gonna do this Denver trip and go to see Red Rocks, see Jason Isbell, and then they announced this show like 5 days later, also at Red Rocks, or a few days later at Red Rocks, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna miss that.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna stay in Denver until
Nice.
this show and then come back.
Very nice.
It worked out really nice. So I got to see 2 in one
Very
week,
cool.
which will be cool.
Those same college buddies with the Writing Project and Neutral Milk. One buddy had to have knee replacement surgery, and then as soon as he was healthy from that, he had to have the other one replaced. Just
Bummer.
'cause they both got trashed playing football growing up.
He'll do it, man.
But he did that and then had the wild idea to pretend as if it were fresh, and he ended up scoring like 5 or 6 front row Red Rock tickets for Jason Isbell.
No kidding.
And that's the only time I've seen him is front row at Red Rock with my buddy in his leg and a knee brace, pretending to be handicapped so we can sit in the handicap section.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
There's all these people with wheelchairs around us, like, what? And we're like, like his crew. We gotta support our boy.
We're not gonna let him sit up here by himself. Like.
Oh, I love that venue. So I've watched quite a number of reaction videos on YouTube over the years.
Yeah.
And I, a terrible habit of going to new people doing my favorite things, like Forrest Gump, for example.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
I watch, people pick up, for the most part, they pick up on Forrest being inserted into, with Nixon and Watergate and all these things. But a lot of times people miss the, I don't know if it's the Tonight Show or late night talk show where Lennon is sitting next to him and he's like,
Yeah.
no religion to, like, the whole
It's like writing Imagine.
just goes over. I'm like, those are the words. What do you do?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm wide awake as it's morning. Is as I mentioned, 5th of 10. So it's right in the middle. 1 through 4 and 6 through 10. Do they get thumbs up from you as well, or
Absolutely.
is there a bad album in the catalog?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I do have so right before I got into them in 2010-ish, they put out this record called The People's Key, which isn't my favorite.
Okay.
And this has been a point of controversy with our buddy Ben, who Landline Ben, and Adam, my good friend Adam, who's in Shotgun Wedding Singer, with Ben and just a good friend from like the Rhino. They love that album, and I like that album a lot. Not my favorite.
Fair.
And I think part of that too is like that album was coming out right as I was getting into them. And I was like, okay, this is cool. But I was so busy digesting all of the stuff that came before it. I don't think I was in the right headspace to really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so there's that. I don't think there's a bad album that Bright Eyes has put out. They just put out a new record called All Dice 5 Threes in 24, I think. And it's good. It's really good. I don't know if it quite reaches the highs of their comeback record in 2020.
They had a little hiatus.
They did. So they put out The People's Key in early 2011, actually. And Bright Eyes goes on hiatus for about a decade.
Damn.
They don't come back until 2020. It's about 10 years. And of
Same
course,
same lineup.
Yeah. So the core is 3 guys. It's Connor Oberst, who's sort of the brainchild, Mike Mogus, who is the sort of producer, multi-instrumentalist, and then Nate Walcott, who is also he is like an arranger. He does like strings, keys. He plays like a lot of the horns on this album and the ones that came after it. So it's like that core, and then a revolving door of other musicians, but. That was just my luck, right? Like, I'm getting into this band. They become like my favorite band of all time, and then they go away for 10 years. I'm like, well, great timing on my part, I guess. I did see Connor solo a few times in that time. So Neutral Milk Hotel was my first show, and then not long after that, I saw Connor Oberst again at the Blue Note, and
Wow.
He was touring with his band with Dawes. I don't know if you're familiar with Dawes.
Yeah.
They're great, and they've really come up since then. They were sort of becoming a bigger band at that time in 2014, I think this was. And it was so cool because Dawes came out and was like the opening band, and then they were also Connor's backing band.
What?
So Dawes, they would like do their set, they left, and then Connor would come out with Dawes, and it was like one of my favorite times I've ever seen him. He was really locked in. It was a really cool show.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on, man. I feel like I interrupted you in talking about the 2024 record. It was good. I don't know. Was there another Bright Eyes piece that's still in the chamber?
I will love anything Connor does, Bright Eyes does. The 2020 record was a real lifeline for me, particularly the song From Calais to Dover. I think it's one of the best songs they've ever written. And yeah, I adore all of their early stuff too. I mean, Connor's been making music since he was like 13 or something. Like a lot of that early stuff I think is really good too. Like their debut is called Letting Off the Happiness. I splurged on like a first press of that where it was like they made 300 of them with like silk screen covers and stuff, and it's like real DIY with like paper, like printer paper inserts and stuff. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was like I paid a little bit, but it's like one of my favorite things.
Nice.
So yeah.
Very cool. So what is this? 5 years? No, 10 years. 10 years later, 2015, Carrie and Lowell Sufjan Stevens. Is
Sufjan
that right?
Stevens, the man, the myth.
7 out of 10, 11 tracks, 43 minutes. Indie folk out of Detroit. This is a podcast first. However, Come On Feel the Illinois made Lisa Alpert's list in episode 147. I enjoyed that listen. It was a lot. She gave me a big giant list, so I already had a bunch to listen to. I enjoyed that. It was I sort of put a pin in it as like, this is curious and something I might want to revisit. I really enjoyed this. This was soothing, curious. It was a lot of things. Why is it special for you?
Yeah, man. Okay, so yeah, I'll set the scene again. I started listening to Sufjan probably freshman year of high school. This is probably 2014, 2013. And I immediately am pulled towards Illinois, the Illinois album. And I do think that's a masterpiece. I could talk at length about that one. But so I was a fan when this came out. I remember this album coming out, and I looked forward to it. I was excited for it. And I remember the day it came out, like, this is 2015. I think I had just gotten my driver's license. And so I remember like leaving school and like pulling it up on I think I had like an Android back then, like a smartphone, and like just listening to it in the car.
Aux cord style?
I think aux cord style, yeah. And I think it was a Grand Am back then.
Oh, wow.
I missed that car. That was a nice car.
I bet.
It was like a 2000 Pontiac Grand Am, and like the sun's going down, and it's like 7:00, and I'm just listening to this album, taking it all in. I adore this album for many reasons. This album really deals with the loss of Sufjan's mother.
Yeah.
And
Carrie. And then Lowell is like stepdad?
Stepdad, who I think was sort of a surrogate father figure for him in a lot of ways. And I think it also grapples with really hard familial relationships. You know, Sufjan and his mom had a complicated and sort of fraught relationship.
Really?
And this album just had its 10-year anniversary. It's 2015, so last year, 2025, was 10 years. And he did some interviews about it just because it's sort of become a classic in that time. And, you know, I think I love this album, and I didn't know this at the time, but I think it really gave me the insight and the vocabulary to grieve my own mother, who died a couple years ago. And I was lucky to have a much better relationship with her than Sufjan had with his mom. But as I've begun to write about that and put songs on this record that's coming out about that, I think about where that journey started, and I really think a lot of it is with this album. To be so vulnerable is hard, but I think when you're in it, you know, and you're reckoning with these feelings of grief and loss and confusion of like, well, what does that mean for me? And it just feels good, you know, just to be vulnerable. At least it does for me, and I imagine at that time, I think it did for Sufjan. He has said in interviews recently that he sort of distances himself from this album, I think, because it is really raw and it is really kind of hot to the touch. And, you know, once you have some distance from it, it's like your brain chemistry goes back to normal, and it's not like you're not sort of as compelled to share things in that way. But I love it. I think regardless of how Sufjan feels about it in posterity, I think it's a classic, and it's an important piece of work for that reason. Have you ever
seen the clip of Louis C.K. on Conan talking about... He has a number of little bits where he talks about the need to like keep his phone away from it. Like, you know, my kids have the password to let me into my phone. He's talking about driving down the highway in California, and there's a particular Bruce song that comes on. Yeah, and Conan's a big fan, and so he mimics it. This piece of this song where Bruce is like, oh! And like Louis is experiencing this in the car, and it immediately is like going for his phone, and he's like, no, like be in this.
Be
and
in
so
it. Yeah.
he succeeds and keeps the phone, and the moment is so overwhelming that he pulls over on the side of the road and just sobs.
Yeah.
And he goes, and that's a good thing, because you know what happens after you cry. Like, all these things rush in and you feel happy and warm again. It's like part of the, and there's something about vulnerability and acknowledge, hey, I'm vulnerable right now in this moment. And then you have some kind of, I don't know, chemistry that happens where you go, oh, it felt good to be raw and exposed, and sort of seeing your own mental network through a different lens, even if only for a few seconds.
I love this. You know, I am, I want to say I'm a well-adjusted, happy person, but I am kind of melancholic by nature. And so I enjoy this feeling. Yeah. I enjoy like, just, I don't know, man, just being introspective and like not depressed, but like maybe a little, like, it just kind of, to me, it kind of feels nice to be sad. It just feels good to like feel something and just be
alive.
Just it's you're alive.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's something beautiful about that.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, sometimes, you know, when I first started doing this, like, you know, I'm not like wildly invested in trying to change things that I've done in the past or who I used to be.
Yeah.
But there are certainly pockets where you go, "Brr." Like when I first this kind of took a year to get off the ground. You know, the space existed in a different form, and bring somebody in and tear down these walls and make new ones and put a ceiling in and get all this gear and then figure out what to do with it.
Right.
And then reach out to people and sort of get the thing going. I could not shut the fuck up about it. Everywhere I went, I'm either talking about it or trying to get you to come do it.
Yeah, sure.
And after a while, it was like that was a lot. You should have tempered that. And so sometimes you get people like, I could never do that. I'm not a music guy. And it's like, I'm just a person.
Sure.
I like music.
Yeah.
I have tastes. I have things that are not for me. We're no different, really.
Yeah.
And so don't ever want the notion that this is some kind of contest or competition to say who's got more chops or knowledge or whatever.
Yeah.
There are huge holes in my catalog. And there have been times where I've tried to force a thing, like, you know, in 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. I was like, this is the summer that I'm going to finally figure it out and become a Bruce Springsteen fan.
Okay.
And I sat down at the desktop, put my cans on, started with album 1. I knew I had to get through Nebraska, because Nebraska's where it all. It was just, I couldn't do it.
Sure.
I couldn't do it, and I carried this like guilt, you know.
Right.
And it is what it is. Like,
it is what it is.
I respect the shit out of Bruce and his band and what he's done. It just has never happened. Maybe one day it will. Maybe it won't. I don't know.
Maybe this summer. Maybe this is the summer.
Maybe
you never know. You never know.
So, an artist kind of hit these orbits where they're just right here, and I'm like, I feel like the universe is saying, lean into that.
Yeah.
But you can't force any element of it at all. At least I can't.
Right.
And so Mac Miller has been doing this, and I'm like, I fucking see it, but you bother me, and I don't know why you bother me. Is it like, so Circles.
Yeah.
2020.
It's the most recent one on the list.
Let's see here. 6 of 7, first of 2 posthumous. The other one's from last year. This is 12 tracks, 48 minutes, hip hop out of Pittsburgh. Another podcast first. So here's the organic piece to this. I can't not listen to it. Right. I'm not ready for the Mac Miller, but you give me Mac Miller. Here we are. I fucking love the shit out of this.
Okay, let's get. I'm really happy to hear that, Blair.
So I not only really loved it. I was like, it never occurs to me to listen to a record from somebody's list twice,
Yeah.
because I got to listen to the records. I got to have my notes. I got to be prepared. I'm always moving. Okay, move on to the next thing. I listened to this a second time, and I realized during the first listen that perhaps what was bothering me about him is that I was Fesco from Euphoria. Have you seen this program?
I haven't, but I know who you're. Are you, the character who kind of
Yes.
resembles Mac Miller?
Yes.
Yeah.
Love him. That show was really, really troubling
Yeah.
for me in a lot of ways, and I think intentionally it's meant to trouble you. And he was living this bonkers, dangerous life, but he was also like maybe the most normal
Yeah.
in the fabric of human beings. And so I was drawn to him, and I think I was conflating. I don't know what I was doing, but I would like stumble across Mac Miller Tiny Desk concert or hear a snippet of a song, here or there. And it just grated on me the way that he sounded.
Sure.
And that is one hell of a lead-off track. It's the title track. And it sort of, what's wrong with you, dude? Just sit down. And it just kept delivering over and over again. So I am insanely grateful that my first real run-in with Mac Miller happened because of your list.
Yeah.
So thank you, and
of
please
course.
tell me all the Mac Miller things.
Well, if nothing else, I think the thing that I'm happiest about this coming on here is that I could do that for you. Can I tell you? So the first song on this, the title track "Circles," is my takeoff in a plane song. And then I always just listen to the whole album. Like for me, like this album is just like, oh, I don't really know what to put on. I'll just put on Circles, like, and listen to it all the way through. Like, I adore this album. And by the way, I completely understand where you're coming from. With Mac Miller, I was the same way for a long time. I did not really appreciate him when he was with us, and I regret that. My introduction to Mac Miller was this record.
Okay.
In 2020. I knew who Mac Miller was, and I had heard a little bit, and I think like a lot of people, I sort of had this impression of him from like when he was really young. He's kind of doing this frat rap kind of thing, which I think you can have fun with if you know where the story ends up. Like I go back and I do enjoy a lot of that. But for me, like I knew this record came out. And I had remembered when he had passed a couple years prior in 2018, and how big of a deal that was, and how much people were mourning him. And so I was like, okay, I think I owe it to myself to check this out. And also, I mean, keep in mind, like this is in the backdrop of COVID, like early COVID, and so for me, it was such a lifeline to one have this gift of an album. I think where this album really shines is it feels like he's talking from like the other side.
For sure.
There, and a lot of that is the song "Good News." There's just the fourth track, but like there's references like the first line on the album is so this is what it looks like right before you fall, or it's like I think this record feels like Mac saying, hey, it sucks what happened, but I'm okay. And you'll be okay too. And anytime, like there's another line on Circles where he's like, I think you alluded to it, don't put any more stress on yourself. It's one day at a time. That's just good advice. I try to adhere to that. I'm like, thanks, Mac. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Just gotta, like, I'll say that in my head to a man who isn't alive anymore and I never met. But, yeah, I think for anybody who wants to get into Mac Miller, maybe especially if you don't listen to a lot of hip hop,
Which I do.
Yeah.
I think I was struggling with like, and this is going to sound terrible, but it's like, I don't like the way that you look.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like your cadence.
It's like a mental thing.
I
right?
don't like that you try or otherwise sort of sound black.
Yeah.
There was just it's a confusing, embarrassing list that was just an unnecessary wall.
Sure.
But like I said, the way that it all went down works. I love organic shit, you know.
A lot of the secret sauce on this album too was so a little bit of context. Right before Mac passed, he put out an album called Swimming.
Mm-hmm.
He was about to embark on this like huge tour and promotion of this album Swimming when he passed away. The tour never happened. It's one of the great what ifs, I feel like, of the last 10 years is like what that tour would have been, because he like got like this whole band. It was going to be like all live instrumentation. Like it was going to be really cool. And so Swimming was the first of what he had planned to be a 3-part sequence of albums called Swimming in Circles Till Infinity. So Swimming came out in his lifetime. He was pretty far into making Circles when he passed. And then the third album, I don't think he did much on. We will never really know what that would have looked like. And then for this album, he brought in John Bryan, who is a producer who worked with like Elliott Smith. He did the soundtrack for like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is a really great just sort of ambient indie soundtrack. Done a lot of really like produced like Beck and like all these people. And so Mac was like, I kind of want to make this album that's a little separated from like purely hip hop. So he's like, I'm going to bring in John Bryan, who's like the man, And so a lot of the secret sauce is John Bryan's production work.
I got to tell you, man,
it's incredible.
I'm 51.
Yeah.
Like gangster rap, hip hop, all that stuff comes flooding in the 80s for me and kind of helped me get out of classic rock land.
Yeah.
And so I am 1,000 times over. When I was your age, the shit they make today, mumble rap, I'm so sick and tired of hearing all the fucking fake drum,
like trap, like beats and stuff. Yeah,
the instrumentation on this is phenomenal. It sounds like there's a studio band in there playing real instruments. I didn't look at the album credits to see what all it is, but it's so refreshing.
It's so rich, man. I agree with this. Like, there is very limited samples on this album. There's a couple, but like a lot of this, like Mac play, like again, we keep talking about the title track, the first song, that boom, 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 that bass line. I think Mac played that. Like that's like he wrote that bass line. Like dude was actually a really talented musician and composer. And this is the tragedy is like I think he wanted to do more like stuff like this, but he didn't live long enough to do it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great tragedies of like of this era of music and popular music. I mean, like you take a song like Hand-Me-Downs, which just feels like just so warm and so refreshing. I adore that song. I think this record's a masterpiece. I think for anyone looking to get into Mac Miller, and I'd say start here and work your way back.
Swimming at one point a few years ago, and with all the things that I've shared, and immediately it was like, this is not. And now I'm going to be like secretly listening to Mac Miller.
I hope you do, brother. Swimming, I do think is like should be listened in tandem with this.
Okay.
I feel like if you like. For me, like Swimming really clicked once I fell in love with this album, and then I went back and I'm like, oh, this is kind of that one's kind of got more traditional hip hop elements, but like it's really like I can see why he wanted them to be like a brother sister situation.
Well, man, it was a great list and couldn't have been capped off any better. I mean, it was such a treat.
Glad we ended on a high note,
So thank you.
Yeah.
I like to wrap with a series of goofy questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we'll get you out of here.
Sure.
So the first is you're given the ability to have a cup of coffee with anyone of your choosing, dead or alive. Who's it going to be and why?
That's a good question. There's so many people. The person who is springing to mind immediately is Kurt Vonnegut. I think.
Brother.
Okay, I think he just had. I love Kurt Vonnegut. I've the wit and the charm. It's like Mark Twain.
Yeah.
It's like he could not be just the most captivating and like charming person to have a cup of coffee with. Rest in peace. I would probably have to go. He would pretty high on my list.
Excellent.
I think. Yeah.
Excellent choice. I haven't read everything, but I've read a good amount, and then there's endless content as far as graduation speeches and just little snippets of writing, and all of it is just like more of that because it's good, rooted human. I just love it.
He was, like I read Slaughterhouse-5. Obviously, that's where a lot of people start, and it blew my mind. Again, he's so witty, but like also his works are so filled with empathy, and like and just respect to the human condition.
Yes,
and I adore his work. It's incredible.
Great answer. If we can pretend or imagine that we all have a personal and a professional bucket list.
Yeah.
You are given all the necessary resources to go knock out number one on both of those lists.
Okay.
What are those number ones?
So you said professional and personal?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'll start with professional. So, yeah, doing like music and stuff, I feel like a lot of the bucket list things are like venues you would play at, and
I want to play the Ryman, I think somebody just said recently.
Yeah, and that would be cool. I got to go to I didn't attend a show at the Ryman, but Car Microwave did a show in Nashville.
Oh, cool.
And we walked by the Ryman, and that was very cool.
Hell yeah.
It would probably be something like that. Sort of I'll give you an off the cuff one, off the beaten path. There's this like, it's not even like a big venue. It's like a smaller, medium-sized venue in California called Pappy and Harriet's, and you have to like drive out into the desert to get there, and it's like a little town that is like there's like no cell service, and you have to like get a shuttle or something. But like I've always wanted to play there. I think that'd be so cool. I mean, like I first heard about it because I was really into Phoebe Bridgers for a while.
Okay.
Another honorable mention would be her debut probably, but she did like a show in 2018 at Pappy and Harriet's where like I just watched clips from that concert a lot, and I was just like, man, I want to play there. Like that sounds so cool. So something like that, or like that's kind of a lot of it. I also like we're getting these records made, and I'm excited for those to be out, and that's exciting. As far as personal, I'd love to run a marathon.
Really?
I've my fitness level has fluctuated the last few years as life has happened and things, but I love running. I love I love just like listening to music and just like spacing out like without looking at my phone or something. Like that's where I get a lot of ideas for songs, or I just think about like life and like, oh, I haven't talked to that person in a long time, I need to reach out to them or whatever. Like so the longest race I've ever done is a 15K, which is like 9 miles. So I think maybe like a half is probably where I'll start. But
right on.
Someday a marathon.
I told you that I've got another one of these tomorrow.
Yeah.
And everybody's correspondence with everybody is wildly no two pieces of exchange look the same. You were, I was thinking about this just a few minutes ago, pretty quick with a lot of your responses, and I start to go, where's the catch?
Oh, yeah.
And then, I mean, dude, this has been phenomenal. You should definitely do this anytime you're asked to do it.
I thank you for having me on. Can I tell you, where I was when you reached out to me? I was on a cruise. I was like on this it's called Emo's Not Dead cruise, and I went with a couple of friends like Adam, who I mentioned earlier, and our friend Matt, they're both in Shotgun Wedding Singer. It was like all these like emo and alternative bands from like the past 20 years, and I remember it was like later. I think it was like later in the day, and I wore the wrong shoes, so my feet were like swollen and like sunburned. I was just kind of miserable, and I was like sitting to like just get off my feet like while a band was playing, and I saw your message and I was like, what is this? I was like, oh, and then I obviously like I saw that Rod and Joshua had told me about this when he went on, and I said, oh, that sounds really cool. Maybe I'll try and do that. And then I had remembered you and the show when you DM'd me, and I was happy to do it.
Nice.
So yeah, that's why I responded so fast, because I was just like sitting on my phone anyway.
So and you asked for my address with just a handful of minutes notice.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's guest has sort of ever since Outreach sort of taken the reins and is very like ahead of planning and so on and so forth. So he had the address a little while ago.
Yeah.
But he reached out yesterday to say, I'm terribly sorry. I know that I've already given you my list and I know what the assignment was, but I got to throw in some more stuff.
Sure.
And it is Phoebe Bridgers.
Which is it? Stranger in the Alps or Punisher?
Both.
I love them. I love both those records. I think she's putting on. The rumor is she's putting out a new record this year,
Well,
so we're excited for that.
It's bananas when
Yeah.
boom boom. You're given the ability to visit your past self,
Okay.
any age of your choosing.
Okay.
We're not trying to change who you are. This is
Yeah.
not cloaked in regret. But what age are you choosing, and what are you saying?
Oh man. I'd probably go back to probably middle school me. That was the time in my life that was probably the most fraught with just like emotions and like uncertainty of like where my life was going. And
It's a tough age, man.
it's a tough age, I think, for most people. And I think I would just tell my younger self, like, don't sweat it, man. Like, just be you. I felt back then, like, I think everyone feels kind of misunderstood if you're like an artsy kid or whatever. And, and I certainly felt that way.
Yeah.
And I think I'd just be like, you know what, like, your people are going to find you, just try and get from this what you can, and don't sweat it.
Your
like,
people are going to find you. I like that.
people are going to find you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Like, it's like, trust the process or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, just put yourself out there and like, like I remember my mom told me once, just because like around that time I was just like, I was listening to Neutral Milk Hotel and Bright Eyes and this stuff, and I just felt like I just wanted other people to care about it as much as I did, and people didn't. And she's like, you know what, like, if people don't think you're really cool, like, they will. It's like, you are a cool person. Like, if people don't see that, like, that's on them. Like, just be yourself, and like, it'll work out for you. And she was right. She ended up being right.
Awesome.
So I would probably say something like that.
Cool. You're aware that at one point in time there was a television program called Fear Factor.
I hit it with Joe Rogan.
Yeah. So you win the challenge by tolerating gross whatever.
Yeah.
This isn't that. This is real life. You got to get from point A to point B.
Okay.
Right in the middle is your biggest source of anxiety, fear, creeps, heebie-jeebies, willies, whatever it is. You got to get past it. What is it?
Okay. I've been kind of clowned for this recently. So I grew up, my dad wasn't really around a lot. And so growing up, it was me and my mom and my sister. So I grew up with just like women for a long time. And my mom was deathly afraid of bees and wasps.
Sure.
Like, especially.
Getting stung sucks.
And so like dude, whenever we would be in our like apartment, just the three of us, and like a bee, like a wasp usually would find its way in, she's running to the other room. She's screaming. She's trying to like bat it away with a broom. And unfortunately, this fear got like imprinted onto me.
Spilled India.
So I don't think it quite approaches a phobia, but like if I see a wasp in our house, I'm like, okay, Kirsten, I think you have to deal with that. It's like psychological. I can't help, like, I've never been stung because of my aversion to them, I guess. And so like maybe that the what if-ness of it doesn't help. And this is probably the biggest physical, tangible like fear.
Okay.
Like that's like ingrained in my brain for some reason.
Well,
Yeah.
if you make it all the way to the end and it never happens,
I
good
call
job,
it a win.
But
yeah.
like your mom said, your people are going to find you and your day will come.
The wasps will find me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm sure it will happen at some point.
Last but not least, please complete this for me.
Okay.
The world would immediately become a better place in which to live,
Okay.
if only.
I think if people listened more and talked just a little bit less,
Boom.
I think that would go a long way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Back in the Instagram land, haikus for emus, car.microwave, we are landlion, and Joshua James has a band, all things to check out.
Yeah.
Other plugs.
Yeah.
You mentioned a March show just a moment ago.
Yeah, you can find me around. The next show that I'll be involved with will actually be the Landlion show at the Rhino, I believe, on February 27th.
Okay.
So a couple weeks.
Nice.
And then Car Microwave is playing at Hillsiders on March 23rd.
Cool.
And expect a new Car Microwave record at the end of May.
Right.
Probably third or fourth week of May, and then Haiku's record in late summer.
Fantastic.
So that'll be it for me.
Is there anything that you had hoped that we would cover that we did not?
I feel pretty good. Kudos to you. I feel like it was a pretty thorough conversation. No, I feel good. Again, just thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
This was fun. I was up too late last night, so I was worried that I was gonna be like a zombie coming in here. I feel good though. I feel really good about it.
Never would have known if you hadn't said anything.
Well, thanks, Blair. I appreciate
Parker
it.
Mason, pleasure to meet you. I say this all the time. Sometimes outreach dies before there's life to it, and sometimes and then it fizzles.
Yeah.
None of this happens if the outreach doesn't wind up with you sitting across the table from me, which means you're committed to communicating with a stranger and putting the work into coming up with a list and sharing it, and then giving me time to come and have this conversation. So I'm always grateful.
Of course.
Thank you for all of those things, and hope to talk to you soon.
Let's do it again. Thank you,
Thanks.
Blair.